All right, all my critical thinking friends, this is True Serum, Derek's Mind. What we're going to talk about today is technology. What we want to talk about is how it's been presented to us. In this episode, what we're going to discuss is what we were told technology was going to do for us, how it was going to impact our lives, how it was going to make things better, maybe how it might make things worse, how it just had this overall impact on the world, and all these amazing things that were going to happen once we really dug in to the nitty gritty of technology, once we really understood its power, what it was going to do for all of us. So let's talk about some of the things we were told that technology was going to do for us. So first, let's talk about the dawn of technology for the individual. Okay, for the individual, that's somewhere around 1980. So we're going to use 1980 as our mile marker. That's when the personal computer came out. That is when we were kind of like all able, maybe we couldn't all afford, but we were all able to take advantage of this technology. Then we had the internet come into play, right? Then the internet produced a lot of different things. Really, the home shopping network with delivery service via Amazon, right? That's what it is, right? And then we have social medias created, boom. And then we had the .com bubble, right? What did that do? And now we are into this age of information, mass information. And what a lot of people would like to tell you is misinformation. And we will talk about that on another episode. Misinformation definitely deserves its whole episode. But today, what we're going to talk about is technology. What we're told, what it's actually done. So what we're going to look at, here's what we were told about technology. If you go, and we're still told these same things about technology. So first thing, it's going to make the world a lot more fair. Look, it is going to educate the undereducated, right? It's going to take the poor, and it's going to provide accessibility to banking, to shopping, to education. They're going to know more. They're going to do better. It's going to create this amazing, information era that's going to change our lives in every way. So what other ways is it going to change our lives? Well, we're going to have a heck of a lot more time to go on vacation, right? All of us, we all have a lot more time to go on vacation. We're going to travel the world because after all, life is about experience. And the only way you get to experience anything is if you get to travel. So thankfully, we were told via technology that we were going to have a lot of time to explore our minds and have all this time off, right? We're also all going to have a lot more money. Look, we are still told that today. We have a gig economy. That's what we have. We have a gig economy. And the gig economy is good for you. It's great. In fact, you can have a side hustle, a very sneaky word for second job, which is what it is. It's a second job, but you don't get the benefits of a job, right? There's no such thing as unemployment. There's no such thing as overtime, disability, paid vacation, paid time off, sick leave. You don't get any of that. You don't need it because with the internet, you're going to have all this health. That's the next big thing. Technology was going to improve our health in every way. It was going to improve our health because we were going to be able to live better. We were going to treat our bodies better. We were going to do more for ourselves because we were going to understand. And also, there was going to be biotechnology that was going to come out. And this biotechnology was going to help our bodies. And we were going to get better and better and better and healthier and healthier. We're going to live longer. I mean, this is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Our income levels. Oh, we have to talk about income. Our income levels are going to go up, 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 up for the average man because you know why? You can now make money internationally using the internet, only needing a smartphone. That's all you need is a smartphone. You'll be a millionaire. You're going to be an entrepreneur. You're going to be hustling. You might have a side gig, second job. But listen, there's money to be made everywhere. Okay? That's what you're told. So, oh, wait, let's not forget. We're going to lower the work week. The work week's going to come down. You're going to go from a 4-day work week. And now I saw recently Bill Gates was even saying we're talking about a 2-day work week. I don't know. I must have missed the 4-day work week. I'm not sure. I don't have a 4-day work week, right? I don't have one, but we were talking 4-day work weeks just 2 decades ago. And now we're talking 2-day work weeks, right? That's going to improve your marriage at home. It's going to improve your relationship. After all, we know that finances is the number one reason that people get divorced. The struggle of finances, what follows finances, cause divorce. So you're going to have a happier home life. There's going to be less divorce, right? And so what else is there? Let's think about it, everybody. What else what else were we told? Well, we were all obviously going to be far more interconnected. So now we're all going to know each other. You're going to understand other cultures. We're all going to be more accepting of each other, right? There's going to be a lot less division in the world, a lot less division. I don't know, but is that what's gone on? All right. So what else? What else is there, everybody? What else are we told the internet was going to do for us? I mean, basically, the way it was told to us is we're all going to be richer. We're going to take more vacations. We're going to have more time off. Our family lives are going to be better and far more held together. We're going to live longer. We're going to live healthier. I mean, this thing sounds like an amazing invention. So, has it followed through? Right? I know that you sense some sarcasm in some of the things that I said, but let's take a look at what's actually happened, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the lower class of individuals in the United States. That's the bottom 20%. We're going to look at the middle class. That's 20% to 80%, right? So from 20% to 80%. And then we're going to look at the top 20%. We're going to call that the upper class. And then we're going to look at the top 1%. And what we're going to do is we're just going to look along the array of the subjects we just talked about. What's happened to those classes of people, the lower class, the middle class, the upper class, the top 1%, since the invention of the internet? We'll just go take a look, and then we'll at least have an idea of, well, that's what we were presented and still presented, and here's what's actually occurred over the last, 45 years-ish, 44 and a half years-ish, 1980 to now. So first subject, and for those of you that watching me on video, forgive me for looking down, but I don't have a fancy note thing, and I want to be accurate with you guys. I want to tell you that I want to give you the real numbers, and I don't want it to be exaggerated. These are numbers you can look up online. They're found through federal agencies. They are found through Wall Street Journal for talking about money. They're found through very, very reliable sources as far as sources go. And you can also go ahead and Google this. You can chat GPT it, do whatever you'd like. Everything I'm going to give you has been looked up and verified to the best of my ability. Obviously, I'm not perfect, but I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. So let's get started. So we have the average income growth, all right, of the lower class, the middle class, and the upper class. So the lower class was making about $15,000 a year in 1980, and they're now making somewhere between $17,000 and $20,000. Very little growth, 10 to 20% growth. So it doesn't seem that technology has affected the growth of income, so personal income, for those that are in the lower class. What about the middle class? So the middle class is 45,000 to 50,000 in 1980. We're now at 75,000 to 80,000. Okay, so moderate growth. That's 60%. Now I would add this: your income is up 60% since 1980. Where are prices since 1980? Heck, where are prices since 2019? Just saying. All right, now we have the upper class, the top 20%. What has happened with their income? Well, they went from 90,000 to 220,000 plus. They have a huge growth of nearly 150%. So the lower class has 10 to 20% growth since 1980. The middle class is about 60%. And then the upper class, not including the top 1% for this one, is about 150%. So it does not appear that we're making a lot more money, especially compared to prices, since 1980, since the introduction of this technology that changes our lives, right? Let's talk about average life. No, let's not do that one yet. I was going to say average life expectancy, but let's not do that one yet. Let's go ahead and go down to wealth growth in assets. So that would be homes, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, crypto. Today, what is the growth there? So the lower class, nearly $0 in 1980, and still $0 now. The bottom 20% of the country doesn't have assets, right? They didn't have any then. They don't have any now. In middle class, owned 30% of total U.S. wealth. Now, wealth is probably a better measure of what the internet has done for these different classes of people, simply because most very wealthy people don't actually have what you call income. They don't have income. They have capital gains increases. Their homes increase in value. Their assets increase in value, and that's what they live off of. So in 1980, the middle class owned about 30%. Now the middle class owns about 17%. So they've lost 50% of their. So if you owned 30% before and now you own 17%, that's about half. So we've lost half of the assets. Let's go ahead and take a look at the upper class, including the top 1%. They own 25 to 30% of the wealth in 1980, and now they own 32 to 35%. So they've gained. The middle class has lost half of the wealth that it once had in 1980, and the upper class has gained wealth from 32 to 35%. Coming off of 25 to 30%. Reality probably being about 25%. So they're up nearly 50%, and the middle class is down nearly 50%. The average time worked. We were going to have so much time off once the internet was around. So the average time worked. Lower class, 40 hours, just about 40 to 50 hours now. So 40 hours 1980, 45 to 50 hours now. So they're increasing their workload. So the lower classes increase their workload by 5 to 10 hours a week. Middle class was at 40 to 42 hours. Now they're at 44 to 46. Another increase. The upper class is 45 to 50 hours, and now it's 50 to 60 hours, increased as well. So it appears that the internet or technology has not really cut down on anybody's time at work. Impact on divorce rates. 1980. Hold on. We don't have. Okay, this is just a general one. I don't have the divorce rate for each individual class in front of me now, so I'm not going to. Family size. We were all going to have more kids. We were going to have happier lives, so on and so forth. Lower class had 2.5 kids. Now they have 2.1. Middle class had 2.2 kids. Now we have 1.9. The upper class had 2.1 kids. Now they have 1.8. So everybody is having less children. Okay. Income growth, wealth growth, work hours. So effectively what we see here is income growth. The wealthy have gained income tremendously, up 150%. Middle class is up 60%. Lower class is up nothing. Wealth growth for the middle class has shrunk by 50%. It's increased by 50% for the wealthy. Work hours up on everybody. Everybody's working more. Divorce rate is high, unstable, and a little, it says upper class, it's lower and stable. Middle class, it's moderate. And then low class, it's unstable and very high. So the divorce rate has lowered and it is stable, whereas for the middle class, it's still moderate. Family size, shrinking. So it is shrinking, period. Let's go ahead. What else do we have here? I want to keep this to about 15 minutes. What do we got? No, we don't want to do that. I'm trying to figure something that get one last piece of information in on this so that it makes some more sense for everybody. Quick takeaways. Oh, vacations. Let's get to vacations. How about life expectancy? So lower class was at 71 to 73. They now are at 68 to 72. So they die earlier now. Middle class, upper class, and top 1% all live a little longer. The top 1% lives to about 88. The middle class lives to about 78. And the upper class lives to 84. So you live 10 years longer if you're in the top 1%, basically, is what that tells you. What kills you? If you're in the lower class, heart disease, diabetes, drug overdoses, violence, and accidents. Okay. Middle class, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and stroke. Stroke, what's the most common cause of a stroke? Stress. Upper class, cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's. Top 1%, cancer, heart disease, later onset heart disease, and Alzheimer's. So basically, lower class, high rates of death due to despair, obesity, untreated disease, lack of health care. Middle class, traditional chronic illnesses dominate, but some newer trends, the opioid crisis and stress. Stress has increased significantly for the middle class. The upper class, top 1%, They live longer, they get cancer later, and often die of old age. So it looks like since the creation of the internet, life has gotten longer and better if you are in the upper class, specifically if you're in the top 1%. General health data, we know what that is. Vacation. Let's get on to vacation, because for me, this is a big one when I saw it. And I don't want to go over too much. We're already at 15 minutes. So let's get to vacation. Da, 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 da. Oh, goodness. There's so much here. Where you go to school, vacation. Let's just talk about it. The lower class got 0 to 5 days in 1980. Now they get 0 to 3 days. Often there's no paid time off for the lower class. Middle class used to get 5 to 15 days. Now they get 7 to 10 days. Many don't use their days. Travels is limited by budget because they're so much poorer. They have 50% in less assets, and their income has only grown by 60%, and inflation has probably grown by 200. So they're broke, and they don't use their paid time off. The upper class used to get 15 to 25 days. They now get 15 to 20. They regularly vacation, domestic and international. They have a lot more flexibility. The top 1% used to get 30 to 60 plus days. Now they get 25 to 40 plus days. They do multiple luxury vacations per year. Some take months off at a time. So I would say that vacation has dropped for everyone except the upper class and the top 1% significantly. I'm not going to get into all of the numbers of those because I think that speaks for itself. There's one other topic I do want to hit. I do want to talk about without including GPA. So when you're born and you're born into a certain wealth category, you have certain schools available to you. Can you get into Harvard if you're poor? Sure, but you're the 1/10 of 1%, and you're not going to fit in very well. So I don't know how that's going to go over, but that's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is there's certain people, such as George W. Bush, listen to him speak. I assure you, going to these Ivy League schools does not mean you're that intelligent. But what it does mean is you're going to make a heck of a lot more money in your life. So let's take a look at, so regardless of GPA, so you can have an A or an F, and this is what it does to your wealth impact if you are what your income will be if you go to an Ivy League school versus the average state school. So average state school is 60 to 85. Your public schools like Michigan State, Berkeley, UVA, 80 to 110. Your top private non-Ivy League, like your Dukes, your Stanfords, you make 120 to 150. Top Ivies like Harvard and Yale, you're doing 160 to 200. Mind you, that's an income. That doesn't take into account that you own more of the wealth, 50% more of the wealth in this country already. So let's just talk about what this means. So what we were told about the technology and what it was going to do, it was going to make us healthier, all of us. It was going to raise the poor out of being so poor. It was going to help everybody make more money, and it was going to make the world a lot better places. More vacations, less work time, happier families, less divorce. Has that happened? That has, in fact, happened for the top 1% of the world. And you could also argue that that's happened for the upper 20%. But as far as the middle class go and the lower class, you're going to have to say that has not been what's been delivered. What has been delivered is quite the opposite. So I think just going through those numbers, we can agree that that is in fact what happened. Now, what we're going to talk about on episode 2 of technology is how you can use technology to better your environment. Look, a lot of times you're given tools, and how you use those tools is what is going to happen to you, how you're going to benefit, if you can benefit, right? So obviously how you're using the internet matters. Are you sitting around on social media all day? How is it helping you learn? What can you do? Because a lot of people say that what the internet has done, what technology, I keep saying internet, but what technology has done is it's created the great divide. The divide between those who understand and know how to use it and those that don't, those that are disciplined and those that aren't. So what we're going to talk about is how it can be used and what that could do for you if you choose to let it do those things for you. And then in our final episode, episode 3, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out day to day what we can do and how it's functional. So in any case, I look forward to seeing you next week. Tune in next week. We're going to talk about technology. We see what it's done. I would not say it's lived up to its promises. So we're going to talk about how should we count on technology? What can we use with technology? And then in the following week, we're going to talk about what we're told and maybe how much we invest ourselves into this technological era, if it's even benefiting us at all, depending on where you are in the socio-economic ladder. All right, we'll see you next week.